So I've finally gotten a break, and in catching up, I have become privy to the Blueface, Chrisean and Neveah situation, the baby shower situation. I'm caught up. One common argument I keep seeing happening in the comment section is, actually, there's a couple questions going on in the comment section. Who does Blueface really love? Who is he more loyal to? Who's gonna win? Who he'll beat up people for, yada, yada, yada. Y'all are asking the wrong question, because at this point, nobody's winning. When you watch these relationships play out long enough, the bigger question becomes, what happens to a person when disrespect, cheating, humiliation, fighting, breaking up and getting back together becomes so normal that you start confusing chaos with love? I mean, come on. And more importantly, what happens to the children growing up around it? This stopped being just celebrity relationship drama a long time ago. These arguments have been happening in the comments section for the last 3 years. So before somebody says, we only see clips on the internet, that's only partially true. Some of their live streams go on for hours, sometimes nearly days. Does that mean we know everything about these people privately? Absolutely not. And I'm not diagnosing anybody. But when it comes down to your overall health, your mental, your emotional state, this is a discussion I feel like gets downplayed because nobody wants to step on toes. I'm not going to either. But when people voluntarily broadcast huge portions of their relationships, viewers do observe repeated patterns of behavior rather than one isolated argument taken out of context. And one particular pattern with Blueface that stands out so loud to me, it just is funky. This recurrent message Blueface gives the women involved with him, essentially, I'm the best you're ever gonna get. And therefore, whatever comes with being with me, the cheating, the other women, embarrassment, the highest levels of disrespect are something you should tolerate because the alternative is losing this incredibly valuable man. Yuck. Yuck. And I clearly see people are underestimating how damaging that message is and can become when somebody hears it repeatedly. Because eventually the question can change from, is this person treating me well, to what do I have to put up with to keep them? Your boundaries move drastically. Something you once would have immediately walked away from becomes something you forgive. Then something you forgave once becomes something you tolerate repeatedly. And eventually, the behavior that would have shocked you at the beginning of this relationship becomes just a regular Taco Tuesday. And then there is something else happening. The women are verbally out of their mouths saying they hold Blueface accountable, and they're saying they're looking at the person creating the instability, but they're also looking at each other, ranking each other. Who's the favorite? Who does he sleep with more? Who's he dipping off with more? Who is he living with? Who did he come back to? Whose pregnancy matters the most? You see where I'm going with this. Who can get the other woman out of the picture? Not only is it trifling, but it's very dangerous. The standard is no longer, am I being respected? The standard has now become, did I beat her? But being chosen over another woman doesn't necessarily mean you've won anything. You can win the competition and still inherit the exact behavior that caused the competition in the first place. Dee. And that's why the recent escalation concerns me. We've watched Chrisean and Blueface reconnect despite their years of extremely toxic public relationship. We've watched Neveah navigate her relationship with Blueface while pregnant, which has been a disaster. We've seen cheating become public. We've seen friends and other people pulled into confrontations. We've seen physical incidents become part of what thousands of people consume as just entertainment. That's where I think everybody needs to remember something. Escalation doesn't always stay at the level you intend. Somebody gets pushed and falls wrong. A punch lands differently than expected. Someone's going to jail. A pregnant woman gets injured. A child happens to be standing by. Oop, oh my gosh. It takes one moment for internet drama to become a permanent real-life consequence. And this is actually the part I care about most. The kids. Because adults can consent to dysfunctional relationships. Children cannot consent to the environments adults create for them. Children don't need to understand infidelity or relationship politics to learn from what they're seeing. They're watching how adults communicate. They're learning what happens when somebody disrespects them. They're learning whether screaming is normal, whether fighting is normal, whether somebody can humiliate you today and sleep beside you tonight or not. And whether having multiple people fighting over your attention means you're somehow more valuable. That does not mean these children are destined to repeat their parents' relationships. Children are not carbon copies of their parents. But let's be real. What we repeatedly experience growing up can influence what feels familiar to us later. And familiar doesn't always mean healthy. If this is what's happening to grown women out here acting delulu and compromising their freedom, their peace, their genuine happiness, Think about the little girl that can potentially grow up believing that loving somebody means proving you're willing to stay through anything. A little boy potentially learning that having women compete over him is evidence of status or masculinity. That's why adults have to think beyond. This is my relationship and my business. Children need to stay in a child's place, not realizing the view from their place. Once children are involved, your relationship creates parts of their environment too. The biggest parts of their environment. The place where they're supposed to call home is now turned into a circus ring. And look at how far the conflict has already expanded. It's no longer necessarily contained between three people. We've got multiple acts in this. Families are involved. People choose sides. Arguments become physical. Everybody around the relationship slowly become part of the relationship's dysfunction. Classic case of how chaos spreads. Eventually, you find yourselves risking friendships, freedom, reputations, or physical safety over a relationship you were never even at the top tier of anyway. That's not how narcissism works, but that's a conversation for another day. These are the few reasons why I know the biggest question should not be whether Blueface ends up with Chrisean or Neveah. The biggest factor is what all three of them have conditioned themselves to accept. Because think about it, if instability lasts long enough, peace can actually start feeling boring. If you're accustomed to breaking up, fighting, jealousy, public humiliation, and dramatic reconciliations, a stable relationship may not produce the same emotional intensity. That's when chaos can start masquerading as passion. Are you following? Not only is it trifling, but it's a dangerous cycle for everybody involved. Being chosen means very little if the price of being chosen is just thrown out the window. Okay, and lastly, if somebody has convinced you that they're the best you'll ever have, ask yourself one question. Who benefits from you believing that?